What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to the JDW SportsTalkShow, where fans welcome. We're officially back, ready to rock and roll for our NFL team rankings list. I'm going to be ranking every single team that made the 2024 NFL playoffs from worst to best. So if you guys like NFL content, stuff like this, make sure you like, subscribe, put the post notification bell on. It's a great place to be, great community we're building, and I truly appreciate where we are going, and I look forward to continuing building and having incredible people in this community. And around here, we don't do picks based on what people like. We do picks based on my observations of what I think is right, and that is how I make my picks. I don't make picks. I don't do rankings to please people. I do picks and rankings to get my honest opinion out there, not to please anyone. But I do appreciate you guys watching. Let's get into it. Number 14, you have the Pittsburgh Steelers. I mean, the Steelers, man, let's all agree that, the Steelers are not they're not a great football team, but they're a good football team that made it, really well coached. They got a breath of fresh air with Mason Rudolph in there, but typically we see a new quarterback step in that is decent, and he's a decent backup. He hasn't played in a while, and he has a little bit of a fire under his butt. He plays a little better, and the film isn't really out on the kind of offense that he's playing with these new players, with Pickens, with Najee Harris, and them have been actually able to run the ball really well, which is impressive because they haven't been able to do that. Najee Harris has enjoyed some success lately, which is nice. Really have been dying to see Najee Harris just have a couple of nice games. We know how talented he is. We know how good he can be. He's finally been showing that a little bit, but unfortunately this weekend they're going to be playing one of the more dominant, one of the teams that are definitely capable of being very dominant. I just don't think the Steelers are going to have enough to be able to overcome Josh Allen, but I do have the Steelers as the worst team in the playoffs just because of a few factors. The offense has been good the last couple of weeks, but the film wasn't really out yet, and they're just not the best football team in the playoffs. They're a good football team. They have some really good qualities. They're in the playoffs for a reason, but they also needed quite a bit of help, and they got it. So Steelers getting in the playoffs, good job. Number 13, you have the Green Bay Packers. This is a team I kind of wanted to put higher, but I couldn't because of what their entire season showed us. They've been inconsistent. When the Packers start good, when the Packers start strong, typically that game goes really well for them. But if the Packers don't start the game on a strong note, if they start slow, typically that's how they play all game long. And they've had really odd games this year. We're just like, what's going on? And then, Jordan Love has a couple of games here and there, especially down the stretch here. Jordan Love has looked awesome. He's looked incredible. He's done a very good job. Romeo Doubs making plays. Jaden Reed is making some really nice plays. The mid-round pick. He's been looking really good. They just have so many playmakers. Aaron Jones is having a resurgence late in the season, which is awesome. Finally fully healthy. The offensive line's getting it done. And Jordan Love was second in the league in touchdown passes. But the reason why they're down here so far is just because how inconsistent they were throughout the season. And are they going to be able to continue it in the playoffs? This is when teams really buckle down. It's when defenses play their best, and everyone is playing their absolute best. And there's no such thing now as other teams not showing their cards, not showing everything they have. And I feel like the Packers are kind of showing almost everything they had. They weren't really holding back. This weekend playing the Cowboys, so they've historically have done very well against the Cowboys, especially in the playoffs. A lot of storylines. Mike McCarthy, they're going to face Mike McCarthy in Dallas. A lot of really, really interesting storylines, and it's a good football team. If Jordan Love can come out and play the way he has, if the defense can come out and play really well, the run defense is what concerns me. If that run defense can, get it together a little bit. I mean, they've been all right the last couple of weeks. This Packers team might have a shot to upset the Cowboys. It depends. Are we going to get Are we going to get the playoff Cowboys? Are we going to get what kind of Packers team are we going to get to start? There's a lot of different questions going into that game, but the Packers, they're a very good football team. They made it to the playoffs for a reason, but both 7 seeds are down here at 14 and 13. Bottom two teams, they just, they need a little help. No. I think if the Packers won, they just got in, but it was like a win and in thing. But nonetheless, man, Packers, they made it. They have a bright future with Love. It's not their year this year to go all the way. Number 12, you have the Houston Texans and C.J. Stroud. He's absolutely amazing. I was a little disappointed with the play calling versus the Colts. I thought that the Texans could have really laid it on the Colts a lot more. They could have put up a lot more points. So I wasn't too thrilled with the play calling. I thought they were trying to force the run a little too much, but that is kind of what stems from the Shanahan tree, and and the guys coming over from San Fran, they want to run the football. They want to try and get and try and get it going as much as they can, and try to beat you down with it. But I just think if they passed it more, if they call a little more, more passing plays and stop trying to force the run a bit, I think that the Texans could have won. by a lot more and wouldn't have even been that close at the end there. But CJ Stroud's been awesome. Nico Collins had a really nice game. First play, 75-yard bomb that kind of set the tone. Be like, yeah, the Texans are hungry. They want it, and they're the team that's probably going to win this football game. But yeah, man, the defense, the defense they are going to allow yards, and they are not great, but it's a good defense. It's a playmaking defense. It's an opportunistic defense. Good defensive line. They're going to get pressure. They have guys that can make. They have ball hawks. Derek Singler Jr. has looked really well. Has looked really good. The Texans, they're a good football team. This is a team that can make some noise. That can get a few upsets here and that. There's any team in the playoffs this year that can get an upset, maybe get to the divisional, maybe even possibly a conference championship. Just the way the NFL is this year. A lot of teams, not playing as well, like the Chiefs, and then. A lot of crazy things just of, Chiefs not being themselves. There's a lot of crazy things that happen. Matchups really matter. It does feel like the Ravens and the Niners are going to be teams in the Super Bowl, but you truly never know. But the Texans, man, good football team here at number 12. Number 11, you have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So the Bucs, man, they're hot. They're hot. They've been playing really well. They did have a tough loss to the Saints, but all they had to do is win. They were in. Baker Mayfield has looked really good. The defense has been really nice, but with the Bucs, the issue is, you don't know what you're going to get from the Bucs. Are you going to get, what Bucs defense are you going to get? What Bucs offense are you going to get? What Baker Mayfield are you going to get? They have a really good shot at winning this week. They truly do. But, it just kind of depends on what defense and what team is going to show up. I really like the way this team has played down the stretch. I really like how this team has played at times this year. But remember how they started the season really good, and then they had the stretch there where they looked really bad, and that's because the defense was just completely, blowing coverages, in that losing streak, and when the Bucs weren't playing as well, the defense was blowing coverages all game long, just not playing well, just not playing discipline. And then the offense as well was kind of both at the same time, just weren't playing well. They weren't doing a good job. The offense was inconsistent. But Baker Mayfield seems like he's starting to catch on with the system that they have in Tampa Bay. And if we get the Baker Mayfield we've gotten the last couple of weeks, the Eagles may be having a rough wild card matchup. But if the Buccaneers defense shows up like we've seen the last couple of weeks, the Eagles are going to have a tough week, but you just don't know what you're going to get from this team. They're a good football team, and they won. They won their division and such, and their fourth seed. They had a nice season, especially late in the season when it was do or die. They did it. They got it done. But let's not act like there's there were a couple a couple of games in that or a couple plays in that Panthers game that went well for them. Like the Antoine Winfield. Antoine Winfield is a freaking awesome safety. He's one of the best safeties in the league, if not the best. Absolutely love him. I don't think people talk about it enough. Can you believe that he didn't get a Pro Bowl nod? That is absolutely wild. That is BS. That's why the Pro Bowl is ridiculous. The voting is ridiculous because Antoine Winfield absolutely should have been a Pro Bowler. He absolutely will be an All-Pro. So Tampa Bay, very good. Very, very, very good football team. Just not great. That makes sense. I probably shouldn't have added too many varies on there if they're not great, but Tampa Bay, they can possibly make some noise, upset the Eagles. If they play the Cowboys, maybe they can find a way to upset the Cowboys, but I don't think so. I think they're going to lose on round one to the Eagles, and that brings us to the Eagles, man. This is a team, if you just, I'm not going all off of the regular season. I'm kind of looking into the playoffs, like teams, have they shown their full hands? I'm taking a few other things into consideration when ranking these teams. And the Eagles, they're definitely at the bottom, towards the bottom of the list. There's a reason why they're number 10 and only ahead of some of these other teams because of the superstar talent that they do have. It's just coaching has been an issue, on offense and defense. The offense has been uninspiring, very disappointing, very uncreative, no creativity at all. On defense, you just have, they've allowed so many yards. Their passing defense has been horrible. Now, I think a lot of people are going to look at that Giants and be like, yeah, they have no shot to win this next week. They're horrible. They're absolutely the worst team going to the playoffs. And if you just go off of the regular season, yes, they're absolutely the worst team in the playoffs, especially down the stretch. But they have a lot of superstar talent, and I think they were kind of held. I think the last couple of weeks they've been holding back. They haven't been showing everything. They haven't been showing all their cards. But then again, you go back and look at the Niners and the Cowboys game. They absolutely have had to try their best. It just wasn't enough. They couldn't get it done. Sometimes things are different the second time around, but I think the Eagles will beat the Bucs in the wild card, but I don't see them going any further than the divisional. They might not even win the wild card matchup, to be honest with you. That's a 50-50 game. That is a coin toss. It's a very tough game to predict. I do have the Philadelphia Eagles very, very slimly winning that game, barely, but I think just the the superstar players and the really strong players that they have. I think that's going to be a difference. They're going to show their full hand. They're going to show their cards, and might get one of those games where some of the Buccaneers players just aren't playing discipline, aren't playing well, and I think that's why the Eagles are going to win that football game. Number 9, you have the Detroit Lions. So this is a team that I feel like teams have figured out. In the last couple of weeks, teams were holding back, or they just weren't playing as good football teams, so they were just looking really well. But, it kind of depends on what Jared Goff are you going to get. Are we going to get middle of the season Jared Goff, or are we going to get the beginning or the end of the season Jared Goff? It depends, and considering they're going up against the Rams, who Sean McVay knows very well how Jared Goff plays, and then, of course, it's just, I feel like at one point in the season when they were playing, good football teams, they were figuring them out. They were able to stop them. They were able to get it figured out versus Jared Goff and such and such. It just kind of depends on what Jared Goff shows up. And on top of that, the defense, I'm really worried about the defense. They did a very good job, against the Cowboys a couple weeks ago. That was an impressive outing for that defense, but can they keep it going? Were the Cowboys maybe hiding stuff? Were they not showing all their cards? Were they trying not to just show their hand yet? That could be a possibility. But it was a big game for seeding and stuff, so I don't know why the Cowboys wouldn't. But maybe the Cowboys thought that they could get by doing certain things and not showing everything. But the Lions, man, their offensive line has had their good times, but the running game is pretty good. But what Jared Goff are you going to get? It's been an up and down season for the Lions. Can they finally get their first playoff win in the playoffs? I don't know. They're playing a really good Rams team this weekend. Number 8, you have the Cleveland Browns. This team, man, the Cleveland Browns have been an awesome football team down the stretch here. Really liked what I've seen from them. Joe Flacco has looked incredible. It seems like the rest that he had for quite a while there, like a year or so, more than that. It kind of seems like that has made his arm stronger, getting the arm some rest, getting the arm to feel better. I think that has made his arm stronger and it's kind of refreshed. And then he's making really good decisions. He's a Super Bowl winning quarterback, so that's something to take into consideration there. He has experience. He's been here before. And the Browns could really do some damage. It depends on how Joe Flacco plays throughout the playoffs. Is he going to look like the Joe Flacco we've seen the last couple of weeks, or is he going to revert to Jets Joe Flacco, just not playing well, just not doing a very good job? Not sure. But I think we're going to get a decent Joe Flacco at the very least, and then their defense is awesome. My issue with the Browns is, maybe they should be ahead of the Chiefs here, but I picked the Chiefs for a reason I will explain in a couple minutes over the Browns. But, their passing defense is great. My big worry about the Browns is their run defense, and if the Texans get that run game going this weekend, then the Texans are going to be able to do some damage and possibly pull off the ups. Well, no, I'm not even sure who's favored in this game, but the Texans are the higher seeding, so technically it wouldn't be an upset. But it could be at the same time. This game's going to be 50-50, the Browns and the Texans. But the Browns, man, what's keeping me from putting them higher is just, what kind of quarterback are we going to get out of Flacco? Is it going to be the Flacco we've seen the last couple of weeks? Is it going to be, you just don't know what we're going to get out of that quarterback play, and that's what's kind of holding me back from putting them a little higher, like above the Chiefs and the Dolphins here. But the Browns are very sneaky, very dangerous football team. If you don't put your best foot forward, if you don't put your best game out there, then the Browns, they are going to stick with you, and it might come back to bite you playing this football team. Very well coached. Kevin Stefanski has done a phenomenal job. And I think the injuries are going to catch up with them sooner or later. But, it hasn't so far. It seems like they've only gotten better. Couldn't be for the Browns at number 8. Number 7, we have the Kansas City Chiefs. The reason why I have the Chiefs, a little higher than some people might think is because the Chiefs, maybe they haven't been showing everything in the season. Maybe I'm thinking that a switch might just flip. They might get something figured out. The offensive line is really good. You have, obviously the best player in the league in Patrick Mahomes. You then have a really good running back, Isaiah Pacheco. He could run. As long as you get a couple of guys trying to get open and at least catching the football consistently, I think Kelsey's going to get his stuff together. I think Rashee Rice is going to have a nice playoff run, and hopefully someone else steps up. And I think that Andy Reid and Mahomes have been really holding back the last couple of weeks for a while now, to try and really, save some things for the playoffs, especially the way it is. There's only so much you can do, so don't show your full hand. But I think the Chiefs are going to flip the switch. I think they're going to look a bit better. I don't think they're going to be miles and miles better, but I think the Chiefs are going to be a good football team. I think they're going to run the ball really well in the playoffs, and that could really help their passing game. But I do have the Chiefs down here at 7. Their defense is really good. The defense is going to make the opposing quarterback make mistakes. They're going to blitz. They're going to get pressure on you. It's it's a matter of fact of how the opposing quarterback and team plays off that pressure and plays under pressure. So Chiefs number 7, really good football team. I have them in the middle of the pack of the playoff teams. Just definitely not the Chiefs of the past, not the Chiefs that we all know and love. Just not. They're just not that football team, not that scary offense. They have really good defense, though. Their offense is wild, and they can run the ball really well with Pacheco, so that's kind of a good recipe there. And then you have Mahomes and maybe, these receivers that can make one or two plays, and then you have Kelsey. The Chiefs can absolutely just find a way to flip a switch and look like one of the best teams in the NFL. I can see that happening in the playoffs just because, Andy Reid and then maybe holding stuff back and such, but yeah, I have Chiefs at 7. Number 6, I have the Miami Dolphins. So the Dolphins, big thing with Dolphins coming into the playoffs is, they've struggled to beat teams above 500. They did beat the Cowboys, which was very impressive. Very good Cowboys football team. But, they have so many injuries, and that's what's really hurting them. Like, the defensive line is so injured. Tyreek Hill, has he really been the same? He hasn't really been the same since he hurt his ankle. He's dropped a lot of passes. He dropped a couple of passes last week, and then, you have Waddle. If he does play, he's not going to be anywhere near 100%. They do have some really good running backs, Mostert and Ache. I don't know if Mostert's going to be back this week, but their offensive line has played really well, and hopefully they can, keep away that Chiefs pressure a little bit and give Tua just enough time to throw the football and make some big plays downfield to Tyreek, or even just quick throws to Tyreek or Waddle, or even Mostert or someone come in the backfield, and then have them make a couple guys miss. But that Chiefs defense, very disciplined, very good, going to get pressure, and but I do think that the Dolphins are. I'm ranking them ahead of the Chiefs here. I think, they'd be able to make that extra play with whoever's in there. Even if they're not 100%, I think Tyreek or Jalen Waddle, has a better chance of making that extra play over whoever the Chiefs have over there. And Travis Kelce is awesome. Rashee Rice, has had a couple plays. Has had a couple nice games. But to be honest with you, I'm taking the Dolphins over the Chiefs going to the playoffs just because they can make the extra play on offense. And their defense has been really good, but the defensive line is a bit worrisome. They did bring in a couple of guys, but is it really going to be enough? I don't know. I know they brought in Justin Houston. We'll see if it's enough. Chiefs' offensive line is very good. I think the Chiefs might be able to get the run game going against the Dolphins, but I have the Dolphins at 6. All right, next up, the Rams. You guys may be surprised by how high I have the Rams, but this Rams team, man, they're dangerous. This Rams football team is a good team. Matthew Stafford has played like one of the best quarterbacks in the league this year. I mean, he is the second or third best quarterback in the league this year. And you throw in Puka, you throw in Kupp, you throw in Higbee, you throw in Kyren Williams, and an improved offensive line, and a phenomenal play caller and head coach. And he's really good at scheming, getting guys open, and putting everyone in the best possible positions to succeed. Just that offense alone is enough to give anyone a run for their money in the playoffs this year. Now, the defense, definitely not as explosive as the offense. It's definitely not in the offense's level, and in terms of their skills and such on their side. But they are decent. They're middle of the pack, and the defense is enough to maybe get a stop or two and be the difference in the game. This can be an opportunistic defense. On defense, it's not great, and that could be the downfall of their playoff run. But I think Sean McVay and the Rams, I don't think they've shown everything in the regular season either. Like, that Giants game was really close. They were fortunate to win that one because of the wonky field goal at the end, but I don't think they were showing everything. I don't think they were showing it. They definitely weren't showing everything at the end because they didn't have other players in. But I'll tell you, man, this Rams team is dangerous. It would not shock me one bit if they found a way into the conference championship or even into the Super Bowl, to be 100% honest with you. This Rams team is dangerous, and there's always a team in the playoffs that no one's talking about. They're all, everyone's talking about the Niners, the Ravens, the Bills, the Cowboys, and rightfully so. But this Rams team, man, don't think this is an easy win for your team going to play them. They are a tough football team. I think that sucks as they're on the road. They're going to be on the road all for the entire playoffs, but you watch out, man. Watch the heck out, because the Rams are dangerous. They're armed. They're loaded. They're ready to play some spoiler. And they are absolutely capable of doing such. They are such a good team that no one is talking about. And I think this is going to be that team in the playoffs where people are going to be like, yeah, all right, you're getting that playoff hype. When you're in the playoffs, maybe you have a couple big games. Like the Titans were a couple years ago. They're kind of a sleeper. They beat the Patriots. They ended the Tom Brady era. They beat the number 1 seed in the Ravens the next week, and then ultimately they fell to the Chiefs. But the Rams, I think they could have that kind of run in the playoffs. You watch out. They're gonna be good. All right, number 4, you have the Dallas Cowboys. So this is another football team that has struggled to beat teams above 500, and they have struggled away to win in away games. But the plus is they're the 2 seed. So as long as they win the wild card, they'll be at home for the divisional round. And then as long as the 1 seed is still no, because the Niners are the 1 seed. So if they do beat the Niners, then the Cowboys will play the conference championship at home. So, well, no. If the Rams beat the Niners, yes, they will be the one at home. And I'm telling you, man, this Cowboys team, this is a good football team. If there's a year that the Cowboys break the curse, they get to the conference championship, or they even get to the Super Bowl, this is the year they do it. This is the year they will do it. But it's the same thing every year. They're awesome in the regular season. You get to the playoffs and they're questionable. What's going on? What's this? Why is this happening? Why is that happening? And Dak Prescott, he's played phenomenal. You have so many good weapons. Awesome running backs. Tony Pollard just started getting going late. Then you have the offensive line plays well. The defense, it's incredible defensive line. Micah Parsons is insane. You have really good cornerback depth. I mean, they've all played really well. The defense in general has been awesome. They do run a lot of man. That's not a great matchup for, a team like the Niners, or, for playing the Niners. Even playing the Rams, that wouldn't be a good matchup. That would be tough, but I'm just telling you, man, this Cowboys team is a good team, and if there's a year where they break the curse, they finally win a playoff game, they're at home versus if they beat the Packers, I think they'll get to the conference championship, because then they're either going to play, the Bucs or the Eagles. Because I'm very confident in the Rams beating the Niners, and the Rams beating the Lions this weekend. But yeah, Cowboys at 4, they're a good football team. Can they get over the hump in the playoffs? Number 3, you have the Buffalo Bills, man. This is another team that's very often slept on when people are doing playoff brackets. Everyone just saying, "Oh, the Ravens are going to win it. They'll have it's going to be the Ravens and the Niners, and it's that simple." Well, I would hold your horses, because if the Bills, it's a big if the Bills can stay consistent throughout the playoffs, Josh Allen is one of the best quarterbacks in the league. He will make plays in the air, will make plays on the ground. You have Diggs, you have Cooks, you have all these playmakers that can do good for you. It doesn't matter who you play; those playmakers are going to make big plays. And a lot of the AFC is very wide open, except for, kind of the Ravens. Ravens are the only team you look at in the AFC and say, yeah, the Ravens are the team in the AFC. There's no other team that really will compete with them. Well, the Bills are. The Bills are the only other team in the AFC that I think can beat the Baltimore Ravens. I don't think there's another team in the AFC that would have as good of a shot as beating the Bills. So if the Bills and the Ravens meet in the conference championship, I wouldn't be shocked whatsoever. But the Bills, man, don't sleep on them. And I get it why people are. They're inconsistent. They didn't play well throughout the season. They had a rough middle of the season. And, you don't know where you can get from game to game. When you're in playoffs, it takes one game. It takes one bad game and you're done. That's it. You're out. You go home. You're punching your ticket. You're going to watch the Super Bowl. Not going to be in it. The Rams, though, or the Bills, watch out. Watch out. They're a good football team. I have them as number 3. And the defense is decent. It's more than enough to make a couple plays, more than enough to give the offense a couple of opportunities, a couple of extra opportunities. The Bills are a really good football team. They're top 3. They're number 3 for me. Number 2 is San Fran. Now we're going into the favorites. Super Bowl favorites. Yeah, you basically have the Niners and the Ravens. So the Niners, darn good football team, man. As everyone knows, Brock Purdy's a beast. Deebo Samuel's a beast. George Kittle's a monster. CMC, MVP candidate at running back. What else do I need to tell you about this team? Defense. The defensive line is insane. Would you like to have Chase Young and Nick Bosa on both sides of you, and then have Javon Hargrave on the inside? It's tough. My main problem with Niners is the interior of their offensive line. And some of their offensive line. It's not very good. Their pass block win rate is not good. It's very poor. But that is something that Shanahan and Brock Purdy can work around, especially with the weapons that they have. And CMC, Ayuk, Kittle, all these guys that they have, CMC, you can work around all that. You could work around that horrible offensive line in terms of pass protection when you have all these playmakers and you have a head coach that can get everyone in the best possible position to succeed and win. If there's a team in the NFC that could beat the Niners, I think it's the Rams. I think it's the Rams. I'm telling you, the Rams are dangerous. Rams can beat the Niners. But Brock Purdy has been one of the better quarterbacks in the league this year. He's been awesome. You have some incredible playmakers, really good coaching, offense and defense. Really dominant on both sides of the football, but there's just one team. There's just one other team that is absolutely incredible. And everything I just told you about the Niners, right? That was awesome, right? But the Ravens absolutely killed the Niners a couple weeks ago. Like, it wasn't even close. It wasn't close. The Ravens had no issue with the Niners whatsoever. Now, that also makes you worry for the Ravens if they get to the Super Bowl playing a team twice like that. It's going to be very difficult to beat them. They're going to be extra motivated. They're going to be extra pissed off. And that's probably a team you don't want to see in the Super Bowl. You probably don't want to see the Niners in the Super Bowl. But nonetheless, the Ravens are the best team in the playoffs right now. They killed the Lions. They killed the Seahawks in the middle of the season when everyone was trying to get on the Seahawks wagon. They killed the Niners. Their resume is nothing short of spectacular. They're the 1 seed. The AFC runs through them. So there's no reason why the Ravens won't be able to make it to the Super Bowl. But we still got to see them get over the hump in the playoffs. A couple years ago, they were the 1 seed. They lost. They have to get over the hump in the playoffs. And I think they do it this year. I think they're going to win in the divisional round. I don't care who they play. I think they're going to win. I don't really know who they're going to play. But they're the 1 seed, so they're going to have the easiest matchup. Whether they play the Chiefs, the Dolphins, match up against them really well. I really think the only threat to the Ravens in the AFC are the Buffalo Bills. And the Browns are sneaky. The Browns are sneaky depending on what Joe Flacco we get. So, yeah, guys, that's all I got for me. Those are my playoff rankings, ranking every single team in the playoffs from worst to best. Back to the start, we have Steelers, 14, Packers, Texans, Bucks, Eagles, Lions, Browns, Chiefs, Dolphins, Rams, and then, I don't know why that went there, but you get the point. Cowboys, Bills, Niners, Ravens out 1. So, yeah, guys, that is it for me. I appreciate you guys for tuning in. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. If you did, if you enjoyed this video, make sure to like, subscribe, put the post notification bell on so you don't miss any future videos. Great place to be, great community. Join the Discord server. Stick around the community. It's just a phenomenal place to be. Please, you won't regret it. It'll be one of the best decisions you ever make in your life. Great place to learn about football. Great place for football knowledge. That's all I got for you guys today. So JDW Sports Talk Show, signing off.